time come to order. As Whitney, would you call the roll?
Here.
Here. Clarke.
Here. Thank you. We have a silent invocation. We will follow that with pledge of allegiance. Thank you. I'd like to listen to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
recognition, achievements, and awards. Please.
Good evening, Mr. President, Mr. Superintendent, and members of the board. Tonight, I am pleased to honor many outstanding individuals from the Clarke County School District. Honorees, when I call your name, please come forward, accept your certificate from me, and shake all of the board members' hands. First up, we have State Future Problem Solving winners. Clarke Middle School students qualified to go to the International Problem Solving Conference in 2 separate areas after their state win. The following students won at the state level for their project called Project EDA, Educate, Discuss, and Apply, which provided a focus on LGBTQ issues. And the students on that team are Anna Julian, Zoe Conley Mullins, Alexander Robinson, Everett Lorraine, and Katie Grace Upchurch. And in the individual competition, Margaret Thompson qualified at state and won the opportunity to compete at the international conference with her project entitled The Composting Question. So we want to recognize Margaret and the coach, Michelle Vecchio Weinmeister. Congratulations. Also, we have 5th grade students at Stroud Elementary who participated in community problem solving with their project titled Speak Up Against Bullying. Using the future problem solving model, students implemented a plan of action in community problem solving which culminated in a school-wide anti-bullying week. As first place winners in the Georgia Junior Division, this team was invited to the International Future Problem Solving Competition this June in East Lansing, Michigan, to showcase their project along with the first place winners from Future Problem Solving Program International, which included students from Australia, Korea, Malaysia, New Zealand, Portugal, Singapore, the United Kingdom, and the United States. We're very proud of our Halloween Stroud students. All of them have now gone on to middle school, so we have a small group here tonight, but we did want to recognize them. Jalen Burgess, Destiny Fleming, Israel Jones, Kadeem Martin, Kaya Mercer, Rachel Robinson, Genesis Smith, and Jalen Walker. And we also want to recognize the coaches, Leslie Brown, and our UGA coaches, Tarek Grantham and Meg Hines. Congratulations. Congratulations to the state future problem solving winners and international competitors around the world. Next, we would like to welcome a student from Clarke Central High School who has been selected as a member of the All-National Honor Ensemble Symphony Orchestra for French horn. He will participate in Texas this November. So we want to congratulate Joseph Clarke and the band director at Clarke Central High School, Mr. Robert Lawrence. Congratulations. And next, we'd like to recognize our 4-star award winners. These are employees, volunteers, and groups who have made significant contributions to our school district. And first up is our group honoree this evening. They were nominated by board member Linda Davis. This is the entire group that participated in Books for Bethel. So I'll tell you a little bit about that and then recognize all the honorees. The Junior League of Athens has a longstanding interest in the issue of literacy and a desire to know and understand the community they hope to serve. A standing committee of JLA is the Community Advisory Council, comprised of various residents of Athens, and this committee worked closely with league members in the execution of this project, Books for Bethel. Books for Bethel is a spin-off from Books for Keeps, and Books for Keeps provided lots of support and suggestions for this project. While Books for Keeps hopes to one day serve all students in the Clarke County School District, they serve a limited number of schools at this time. Believing that books in the home and books provided right before summer break would be instrumental in helping curb summer learning loss and encourage reading in general, JLA created a program to fill a void. One of the great things about this project is that the league made a real effort to get to know the Bethel community. Resident leaders walked with league members to hand out flyers advertising the program, and on implementation day, new relationships were born through this project. The actual event was a 2-part process. It was important to us to involve families and not just to distribute books. Day 1 was a student and family evening. League members worked with students to decorate their own home library, which was a sturdy plastic crate to store their books. Adults were in the community center with staff from Barrow Elementary working on a literacy activity. There were also floor plan templates to help determine a good place for the home library in everyone's homes. According to Barrow's family engagement specialist, Mimi Elliott Gower, the discussion during the family part is among the best she has ever had with families. Day 2 was book distribution day. A few things have also happened since the actual event. The Junior League is planning a repeat performance. An ACC police officer who attended the event was inspired to organize a Friday afternoon summer story time at Bethel. Police officers, community members, and UGA athletes have all already participated. A group of moms are interested in an adult book club to kick off this fall. And at the Bethel Back to School event on Saturday, August 6th, the Junior League was back again, and the Year of Literacy theme was kicked off. They also collected school supplies to provide students at Bethel as they encourage them to have a great school year. Talk about a partnership. So tonight we want to recognize several of these individuals. From the Junior League of Athens, we have several members here tonight. First, their president, Julie McGinty. Let's go ahead and do a round of applause. Laura Beth Caudell, Michelle Dickens, Jordan Dotson, Allie Dudley, Wendy Greer, Cassina Hewell, Carrie Hornsby, Julie Martin, and Christine Smith. Congratulations. And 4-star award winner is Julie Goltzer. She's a volunteer with our school district at Whitehead Road, and she was nominated by the media specialist there with Jessica Andrews. Is Ms. Goltzer here? I want to read aloud come on up, what Ms. Andrews had to say about it. Without Mrs. Goltzer's assistance, the Whitehead Road Media Center would not function. She has tirelessly volunteered for the past 4 years. Every Friday, the students and I enjoy her help in the library. She sorts and shelves books and assists students with finding materials. She also helps set up and take down numerous book fairs and aids in completing the book inventory at the end of the school year. She always goes above and beyond to make sure a job is completed. Last year, she was instrumental in preparing the media center for the move to our new school building. Judy packed and labeled numerous boxes of books and helped then unpack and sort them in August so that the media center was organized for the students and staff of Whitehead Road. I truly value her dedication and assistance in the media center of Whitehead Road Elementary School. Thank you so much for your time. Next, we'd like to recognize Shantavia Stokes, a paraprofessional at W.R. Coyle Middle School, who is nominated by teacher Audrey Webb Patterson. Mr. Shantavia Stokes of W.R. Coyle Middle School deserves district-wide recognition because of his professionalism and willingness to serve. At Coyle, he is considered a special friend, great support person, and all-around, anytime go-to guy. Mr. Stokes is always willing to step up to the plate and help students, faculty, or administrators whenever necessary or whenever asked, and always delivers beyond what has been requested of him. Recently, for example, Mr. Stokes proved to be a stabilizing force when he substituted long-term in a connections class, managed the discipline, taught the lessons, and maintained and brought normalcy in what could have potentially turned into a chaotic environment. He worked closely with the Content Twin teacher to plan and develop lesson plans and was able to implement them daily in a manner that kept the students actively engaged. Thus, learning continued and behavior was managed, which benefited our entire school. A family man, Mr. Stokes never meets a stranger and always conducts himself respectfully and pleasantly. Further, he values his own education and is currently a college student working towards a degree in education. At Coyle, we are excited knowing that one day Shantavia Stokes will lead his own classroom, but selfishly hope that he will remain with us. Congratulations. And finally, this evening, we have Barry Johnson with Transportation, who was nominated by teacher for Chestnut and Mr. Johnson. Wonderful. And Ms. Hill was Mr. Johnson was the bus driver for Ms. Hill's Zoo Atlanta field trip for Winterville's kindergarten class. Mr. Johnson was such a courteous driver. On the way to the zoo, a driver of a small car passed in front of our bus to get off and exit ramp. Mr. Johnson had no choice but to lock down on the brakes to keep us safe. He made sure all of the passengers were safe by asking us if we were all okay, which we were. He delivered us safely to Zoo Atlanta, and he made sure that I had his number in case we needed to contact him while in the zoo, as well as double-checking the time to pick us up in front of the zoo. He helped me to load the souvenir packets on the bus, as well as helped me to unload the bus. He was super friendly and one of the best drivers that we have ever had. He is deserving of a 4-star award for his consideration and kindness, as well as putting his all into his job. Congratulations, Mr. Johnson.
Yeah, again, congratulations to our recipients and our awardees. What a way to start out the year. It's been a great opening for the first 2 days, and this just makes the week so much better. Just to know what we do every day in our district. So, to those that work with our kids and our advisors, thank you, and to our students. We're just so proud of you to be able to not just be on this stage, but a national stage. So, thank you for coming out and allowing us to celebrate. Thank you.
We're going to take a 10-minute recess and move up to room 66 for the board.
session, back into regular session. And we're gonna begin with, item G, agenda, superintendent's, report, Dr. Ledoux. I'm sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. Go back up to B, and, going to ask if we have any amendments, for the agenda.
I would like to amend to add executive session, and that would be following personnel.
All righty, amendment, have an executive session on following personnel. Why don't we do both of these together? I call for a motion to adopt the agenda and also amend the agenda. Okay. Have a motion on that?
So
Moved by Ms. Payne, got a second from Mr. Huff, all in favor? Thank you very much, motion passed. Now, Dr. Ledoux, we move down to item B, thank you.
Yeah, just a couple of announcements. We got a number of items. First of all, I just want to thank Larry Hamill and his team. As you know, we had the exit interview for the audit. We have no findings from our audit from last year. We were dealing with some personnel pieces that had a late catch-up. Those were fixed immediately thanks to Dr. Freeman, but there are also only several very minor, I'd say minor management points. So, all in all, this is just a real kudos to Larry and the team, and also to, in a part of that was also Title I and school nutrition. So both of those divisions also did what they needed to do and showed them on. So that was really good news for us.
I want to say a special salute to Larry Hamill, because when I was principal for 8 years, state auditors told me that it was totally impossible to have 0 findings in an audit. So I want to salute you.
I don't think that's what we told Larry when we got here. I don't think that's what we said you ought to do. But that's a really good thing. Also, just a note, I sent out an email, real pleased that the policy, the White House Policy Advisory that comes out, the President has invited us, sent an invitation to myself, and for our county to participate, to give input on the new generation of high schools. That summit will be at the Washington on the 12th, but it required us to invite. We responded to what we thought we ought to be thinking about, which is in line with what we're doing. They sent us back and confirmed our invitation. We're waiting for the formal invite, but Dr. Cavanier will be joining myself on the 12th in Washington, so I think that speaks out. Really proud of that for our district. A couple things, I'm a little different. We're going to start out with back to school. Thought we would ask several principals. They asked, so what other questions or what's the topic? Back to school. It is wide open. But for those that don't know, the school opening has been, we all say it's great, but in particular this year, the focus with our kids has been tremendous. And if you didn't realize, our enrollment is up quite significantly. I just did the total, and that includes the pre-K, that we are up around 700 students at the beginning of the school year. If you take out pre-K, it's closer to 5. So that's 500 students in our K through 12 program. So we are, with pre-K, just barely under 14,000. So that's, I think that's a really good sign for our community and our schools.
Is it mainly just at first grade or in kindergarten, or is it just
It's across the board. We see a few drops here and there, but I think that we had about 170 something around in middle school. We saw increases in 3 of the 4 grades at high school. There were a lot in kindergarten, so we're getting a lot in our early years. Pre-K, because we expanded quite a few areas, so about 200 in our pre-K program. So all really good signs for us. Right. So with that, opening a school, I'm going to say who else? Jennifer. You said she's Jennifer. I looked at Jennifer and said, I got another game. Are you ready, Jennifer?
I'm ready.
Okay. Of course, as we know, Jennifer Scott is the principal of Barnett Shoals and the proud principal of a brand new school.
Well, good evening, everyone,
Press
and
the
thank
button on
you.
it, Jennifer.
There we go. So thank you for inviting me. And as you know, I am at Barnett Shoals, so this was an extra special opening for us because we got to open in a brand new building. And with that, it's also a celebration because this is our 50th anniversary this year. So that's a wonderful anniversary gift of a new building. So it was definitely wonderful to see all of the parents, students coming in at our Meet Your Teacher on Friday. We had lots of community members, former students, former teachers coming to see the new building, to celebrate with us, and to congratulate us. So we're looking forward to a formal celebration of our 50th in addition to the actual ribbon cutting later on this school year. Having moved in that building,
operators in this process, and we want you all to be comfortable with this process, to be engaged in it with us as we go through. And I will say again, as I always do, that I'm here to support you through this process. But we've adjusted our timeline a little bit, and I gave you a handout that includes the timeline. We've extended the recruitment period to include all the way until September 30th. So that will include all of our back-to-school events. We had our open houses, we've had ice cream socials, we're going to have our Title I meetings, which are a big part of our parent engagement piece. We'll get a lot of parents there. And this also allows us to use the parent-teacher conferences for our voting, which is hopefully going to work out really well because we get a great attendance rate for parent-teacher conferences, about 90% at each school. And that will allow a large number of parents to be able to vote, and that's what we really want. So that will push our vote into October, but that still keeps us on track to have 2 meetings with the core group, which includes the parents, the teachers, the principal, and the police officer before the end of the year, so they can fully form by January. And then January is when we'll begin our training. Now, backing up a little bit, because I know that this was a concern at the last time I spoke to you all, we are going to have in-person orientation sessions for people who are interested in becoming, who are interested in getting more information. And it's sort of that, are you sure you want to be on an LSGT moment for them before they confirm whether they want to be on the ballot or not. And orientation sessions will be required for our parent and teacher members. There will be 4 opportunities for them to go to an orientation session. We're trying to spread those out over until September 30th when the recruitment period closes. So media thus far, I've been working closely with Anissa. We've come up with a great plan to push out information about the LSGTs, and I think it's a real, I tip my hat to her because I think it's really the reason why we've had such a good response so far. So I've included in the handout the piece of media that we put out, a great design, and that became a poster, it became a handout, that was an ad that was in the papers. We're also looking to push that out to other media outlets as well. We're looking to, so we have a web page as well. If you go to www.clarke.k12.ga.us/charter, you'll find more information about the charter system, and we'll be updating that regularly as well. The message has gone out on all of our listservs, parent, teacher listservs, parent link. We pushed it out to some community listservs as well, like the Chamber of Commerce. And Tim Johnson sent out a really nice message today, so I appreciate that. So that we feel like we're getting the message out, but we still want to do more. We want to get on the radio. We want to do some, even possibly some advertising on the radio or some interviews on the radio as well. Speaking to different groups around town next week, I'll be speaking to PAB, the Parent Advisory Board, and then also speaking with the Charter System Foundation as well. They're going to have some members come here, and we'll be talking to them about, just the process of forming LSGTs, whether we're on the right track. And then also speaking to the Rotary Club on September 7th, I'll be doing that as well, to sort of push that community piece, get it in the ear of some of our business leaders in town, get them maybe interested and fired up about our LSGTs as well. So as far as the training goes, we've been working closely with our Fanning and Vincent partners. We're ready to have our official first LSGT implementation team meeting next week. That's going to be a rather intensive group. I've set a meeting for every 2 weeks, not every month, because I feel like we need ongoing support from them and some other community partners. And we're going to have a parent member on that, and also a teacher and an administrator member as well. So that's going to be a really more like a working group and an advisory group, more like a working group. And then we're also determining some real specific groups of CCSD personnel and community personnel to work on the training modules, to vet those modules through a couple of people. So people who know about human resources will be working on the human resources module, and they'll be working with the Fanning and Benson team as well. Last week we had a great meeting with the Athens Wellbeing Project, which is picking up some traction in the community. That's the advisory group for the data collection process that's happening, or that will be happening in a little bit here. We have a rough draft of the survey that was presented at that last meeting. It's now gone back to its second round of edits, and I'll be able to share some items from that probably at next month's meeting. We're creating a website for the Athens Wellbeing Project as well. That should be pushed out within the next week as well. And we're also, we've scheduled a couple of training meetings for those data collection teams to really want to support them. Neighborhood leaders will be leading those meetings under the direction of Terrace Thomas and of course Tim Johnson as well. They will be leading teams of master's level students from the School of Social Work and the College of Public Health to go out into our neighborhoods and do door-to-door surveys, or not door-to-door, a random sampling of door-to-door surveys. So we feel like they need some support and some training for that, and that will happen later on this month. So, to say, I'm very encouraged by the work we've done so far. I welcome any comments or suggestions that you might have. All right.
Yeah, I have now,
Yes,
question,
sir.
comment. You mentioned the website, and I want to commend you for the information you put on that website. It's especially the map with all of the schools and the districts that they are located in, and as far as listing the addresses there. That's wonderful, you know. Several people asked me about that, and I told them, look, go to the website. In fact, I walked them through it, okay?
Okay.
So, great job.
Great. Now that list of streets, have to give credit to Ted and Denisa for that one. But yeah, that is a really great resource.
Mr. Davis, you had
Yes, sir.
Ms. Banks.
Mr. Payne.
You said you had 300 to sign up. How many do you actually need?
We want 300 to sign up. We don't need 300. We just want we want a big pool. We go big here in Clarke County, so we're trying to get as many. Well, I mean, I don't have a limit on this. I want to get as many people engaged, involved, and interested in receiving more information as possible. I just want a big pool of applicants so we can put together LSGTs at every school. Yes, sir. Mr.
Yeah,
Davis.
James, a couple things. One is that all of a sudden I started thinking, having something first Friday, last Friday would have been good too. There's also some type of health fair that's coming up. And so there may be places out in the community where a lot of our parents are going that maybe we want to try to tap into. Of the 160, is kind of a wide sampling in terms of community, teachers, parents? Are we getting more teachers and less parents than we want right now, or vice versa, or more community folks? I know you want everybody, but I'm just saying, of those 160, where are they coming from primarily?
Believe it or not, it is pretty equally spread between all groups.
Good.
Yep.
Good.
And I would ask maybe the board if there are some venues that you think would be important to email myself or email James, and saying this might be a venue to create information to maybe someone we might not have hit through these traditional outlets.
Yes,
Yeah.
and
Just
I
let
wish
us
I had
know.
followed that.
I volunteered to James just to add on to your list.
Yeah.
But it's important we get this information out.
Yeah.
Yeah, please.
Sort of piggyback what Greg asked, are you finding, we certainly have a goal to increase parent involvement in some of our schools that don't have the parent involvement that some of our other schools have. Because we have found that is the true basis of success for a school. Are you finding any specific, are you really targeting some specific specific schools, I'm sure some are more vocal than others, and as it tends to be the case around the county anyway, are you finding some schools have more volunteers than others, and are you really gonna put a lot of energy into some of the ones in the neighborhoods that we haven't heard from yet, and that sort of thing?
Yes, to all your questions.
So it's not equally distributed?
It is
around the
not
country?
equally distributed. Every school has at least 2 people signed up for their LSGT. However, there are some schools that are gonna, require some additional support. Yeah, none of the 3 sitting here, actually. Especially not Clarke Middle. But yeah, we've, and I mean, I think it's just the parent involvement that we've seen thus far, I think is reflecting in the amount of people who are signing up for each school. But there are some schools that I think I'm gonna have to go and,
Really tough.
sort of drum up some support, yeah.
And I'm sure principals will be instrumental in guiding
Yes.
to certain neighborhoods and certain individuals in certain neighborhoods who tend to be a little bit more of a leader in that way. And
Absolutely.
I'm really excited about seeing some of the people who will emerge whose voices we haven't heard from. And,
Yeah.
and so I'm excited about this process, and a friend of mine at drop-off this morning was like, I'm so excited about those LSGTs. She's like, I can't wait. And we were talking about it, and she actually asked me, she said, can I be a community member of another school? Even though I'm a parent at this school, could I apply as a community member of another school? She does have some background in that sort of thing, and it's not totally cold for her to ask that. But can people do that?
She can run as a parent at one school. However,
Could she be a community member of another school?
if she was serving on one LSGT.
No,
and-
not at all. So, I mean, we're Chase Street,
Mhm.
my kids go there, and so we're pretty certain that one's gonna fill, but if there's another school that's a little bit, needs some more involvement, that she runs as a community
yes.
member on
I
that.
think it's
Yes,
the
absolutely.
at-large.
An at-large.
Yeah, that's
At-large.
not large, not to serve on 2, but just
Gotcha.
instead of.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, she can serve on another team as an at-large member.
James, how soon will you be able to put the dates and times on the orientation?
I expect by early next week.
How many times and locations, not dates?
Yes, yeah, we've sort of gotten those dates down. We just haven't quite gotten the locations for 3 of them. Confirmed BHL for September 29th. And they need to work on those other 3 locations.
But what about time of day? When are you going to put that up?
I think it's going to be 6 o'clock.
Consistently? all-
Yes.
Okay. Thanks, James.
Thank you.
Great job. You've done a great job. 2 more items. The next, pretty self-explanatory, but we did receive a response from Godot on our request around CCRPI. I guess if there's any takeaways from the board, you mentioned it, but it sort of, I guess, the parent and Mark's, we've talked about it, that essentially the decision around not using retention, we knew that was sort of the case, was so that there could be further evaluation of whether there was enough disruption. In their estimation now, that there was not enough disruption to call them, quote, invalid. So therefore, they will not honor our request for CCRPI. I think, Mark, is that basically the essence? Anyone else read anything else into it? Questions? I don't know if my answer came from the superintendent. I just wanted to share that response with you. Okay. The next is 2 things around board training. We always put together our schedule. I would like to recommend that we need to have a session in September to talk about our strategic plan. And it's just really, I think, dedicated for 3 hours to planning and initiatives. Typically, we've used the 3rd Thursday, or one of the Thursdays, to keep it on a Thursday of the month. Should I try that, or just have Amy send out a couple of dates? Would that be reasonable? Would 5 o'clock, would a 5 o'clock, 5 to 8, and have a 5 o'clock kind of working dinner, for breakfast, whatever, something like, go to work? Okay, so that would be one of our training sections. Now, also, I know everyone enjoyed the University of Georgia, the state of education in Georgia. That's the conference at the University of Georgia. That will count as credits. Is that, like to entertain doing that again?
Do you have the dates on there?
Mark, keep talking, and by the time it's done, we'll have those. Because we gotta coordinate that, because that's in September too, so we'll get a lot of training done in September. It'll be 6 credits, I believe, for UGA, and then we'll do 3, actually, be our full 9 credits. Done in September. So, is that, Mark's working on it?
Well, all of the veteran, I won't say old, and I thought about the set. Experience. The veteran board members, 9 hours, but you'll have 2 new board members coming on, which they'll need 15.
That's right, that's
That's next year.
who's up. Mark's working on the.
It's the numbers for the, sorry, September 30.
Just that 30.
That's the UGA, what's it called?
State of Education in Georgia Conference.
We did that
what's
last
the
year,
term?
right?
And I do think we need to start our strategic plan in September. I mean, we could wait till October.
Let's do it in September.
Yes,
I think so.
I really do. We need to get going on that, so.
Yeah.
Let me look at that third week.
Thursday.
Okay.
I'd say September 15th.
Is that third Thursday?
Third Thursday.
September 15th.
Let's do that as tentative. Let's check your calendars, everyone. And we can do it right now.
It'd be nice.
I've saved a lot of emails.
That third Thursday in September.
We usually try to keep Thursdays free. I mean, so that's.
Yeah, I think that's perfect.
Okay, never mind.
That's good for me.
That's not, I think we have 5, can we look at the 22nd? Let's look at the 22nd.
September 22nd?
Will that work? It's a Thursday. And then the following week, so you kind of got it all in 2 weeks, but then usually.
Yeah.
So it's the 30th.
That's good.
All right, let's go ahead and we'll send that out as an invite for the 22nd. That will be strategic planning. I'll work with Risa so that we have a trainer that can give us the credit. I'll work with setting up it as a course. Okay? Okay.
We're down to item E.
I think we're good. That is my report. Any questions? Okay. Board reports. GSBA, Mr. Payne, you have a board report tonight.
Yes, well, I would hope that we would be, if you would look at your email from GSBA, there are 3 training sessions coming up, and these are positive training. And I would hope that we would be able to send somebody at all 3 of them. September 28th, personnel policies. October 11th, instructional policies. January 17th, student policies. So I would hope that we would be.
We've already started to organize around that already. So
Good.
sent that out to our team already. Sherry's eyes, seriously, we all have to do it.
Okay,
We
all
don't
right.
have to quite do all 3, but we'll get those covered. And James, been learned that. Got it. Thank you, Mr. Payne. Is that Mr. Payne?
Yes,
We good? Okay.
good. Y'all have it covered.
Habib's not here,
Yes,
government
I'm-
relations.
As co-chair, can I
Oh,
just?
you got it.
Okay. Yeah, I'm a little concerned about how educated people are becoming about, the Opportunity School District. I know I just came from a gathering of political people, and I talked to probably 20, and half of them didn't even know it was on the ballot. And so I think at some point that the Government Relations Committee does need to meet, and I hate to throw another meeting in September, but it seems
Is it
like.
already on our calendar? I thought we did or did it end in August, or July? I think they're repeating. Well, look, I think we repeated them all the way through in the same.
Yeah, they're on the same day, but we're not holding them. I don't think. I mean, we haven't had one for.
Two summers, two months, one on July, that was Oviedo. She said.
Yeah, I know, I understand that, and I would have said that had she been here too. So just something that I think we need to really let folks know, and I think we need to talk about how our school district community finds out and becomes more educated about OSD as well.
And Mr. Davis, let me add to that. I can really appreciate what you're saying, but I think that you're going to get some better knowledge out of that the closer you do it to the Tuesday after the first Monday in November. The reason I'm saying that, I have been in several congregations where I know that it was mentioned, thoroughly mentioned. People forget.
Yes.
Okay? I think if you do it closer to that date, you're going to get better
You
knowledge.
know what they say, you have to mention something, you've been in the classroom, you mentioned something 7 times before it gels, so.
We have it on our, we have scheduled government relations on Tuesday.
Okay.
So I'm just waiting,
Okay.
just need to
I
give
know,
me
we gotta
that,
talk to Oviedo.
send
You're right.
send me the agenda.
Yeah,
we
you're
good.
right.
But it's on, it's Tuesday,
Okay.
okay? Good. All right, Finance Committee,
The Finance Committee meeting was canceled this month, but speaking of Charter System Foundation training courses, there's one on Friday, September the 16th in Barra County that's from 9 to 2, and those are free of charge and include lunch, but they're very informative as to how the charter system works and the local school governance team, so I would encourage anybody that's available to go to register for that.
Give that information again, please.
It's Friday, September the 16th from 9 to 2 at the Professional Development Center at Barra County Schools.
is there a website, is it on their web, Carol?
It should be on their website, the charter system.
This
Foundation.
is the foundation, yeah.
It is the
That's what we
foundation.
need to
And
do.
they, I went to one last year, and you do get, board members get 4 hours of training credit, so that's a double reason to be able to attend, but it's close by, so.
What are those dates again, Pete?
It's just Friday, September the 16th, one day from 9 to 2.
Get that on Monday, September 16th.
Okay. Policy Committee?
I think we talked last week about the cleanup of the policies that are in item F tonight. But also, I just really want to thank Dawn. She's been amazing as a diligent staff member, for somebody to help us as a board really make sure our policies are tight and concise. And I'm real pleased with the work that the committee has done, and I think that we have a lot of work to do, but as the schools are opening and as, different in the beginning of the year, there's been some things that have come up, and I think, and I'm really glad that we are able to bring things through policy, and I feel very supported, and I'm excited about that. And so if there's any policy discussion you want us to have, we have a pretty full agenda for the next meeting. And then I believe Georgia Appleseed will be working with us in the September meeting to work on our code of conduct. So I'm very excited about that. I feel really thrilled about that resource. But then after that, we're starting to backlog and build our agenda. So please just let us know what you want us to review, and we'll get to it. I feel confident because we're doing a good job with our policies right now. So I'm excited, very appreciative. Thank you.
And could I echo as well as there's no Dr. Myers, that's a new position, that's the full-time position, but he really has paid attention to those details and making sure the information's there, so I thank you.
Very helpful.
See, Property Committee.
Now, I'm ready to go.
Okay, we'll be doing that. Okay.
And can I just say one more thing, that I just remembered just to report back to the whole board, when the legislative hearing was here in Montgomery County, Mr. Davis and I attended that. In addition, I think Dr. Freeman and Dr. Tavernier were there as well, and it was a great opportunity. I especially enjoyed talking to some of the DOE people that were traveling with elected officials, and they really did want to hear about the topics they wanted to hear about. So we were glad they came to our facility to do that.
Yeah, if I can piggyback on that, I mean, one of the things that I was glad that was raised is talking about the pre-K teachers. And I had one legislator pigeonhole me later and saying, oh, we took care of it in the last legislative season, but then you look at it, it's 3%. So you get,
They
so you
get
have a
a
little bit of
cost
money.
of living raise, but that gap was.
Right. So I think it's really important that when they do come out, so they did seem to be listening, I would say, but I think it's something that had even a greater turnout in terms of us. Some counties kind of brought their whole school boards, and that's something to think about.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, we down to,
Policy discussion, are there any questions? These policies will go up for public review. Any questions on those policies and exhibits? And there's a lot of this was cleaned up here, but from the policy.
A lot of them are very repetitive and same.
minutes from the previous meetings, and wow, we had 5 minutes, 5 meetings there, so hopefully you had a chance to review those minutes, and I entertain a motion for approval. Moved by Mr. Payne. I got a second on that, second by Mr. Parks. Have any questions about these minutes? Any questions? All in favor of these minutes? Motion passed. Thank you very much. All right, consent agenda.
Recommend approval of the consent agenda.
Okay, we got a recommendation from the superintendent on the consent agenda, and we have, what, 22 items on that? Moved by Mr. Payne, got a second by Mr. Davis, all in favor? Thank you very much. Okay, and the next item, 23.
23, and we pulled this off, did some rework on this recommendation, because it has to include some language. So it's approve the appointment of Ernest Hardaway, CCSD disciplinary hearing officer, and Sam Preston, his designee as a disciplinary officer. The superintendent further recommends that the board approve recess, the tribunal training provider for Clarke County School District, and the provision of training by recess Mr. Hardaway, Mr. Preston, up to 5 certified personnel. That's the new law, is the trainings.
Okay, now that's the recommendation from the superintendent. Got a motion from Mr. Payne, got a second on that? Second from Mr. Powers. Okay, pull this off because we're anticipating questions. Now, any questions pertaining to item 23? Go ahead, Mr. Davis.
I'm still, do we have a job description with that position, or did I miss it?
I don't know if we have even job descriptions. Do we have them for our Title IX coordinator positions, the one that are, I think it, I don't know, Greg. You know, I mean, you can look, but I think a lot of that is dictated by the law, regulation, Mike, but I might have to.
Yeah, the new law just says the board has to designate your hearing officer. It doesn't contain a job description within it.
I mean, we included in Mr. Hardaway's, the executive director. I have to go back and look on Sam Preston as the designee. I don't know.
Because I'm still confused about having one hearing officer over another hearing officer. At least that's what I'm hearing, and maybe I'm not hearing it correctly.
And the reason, I guess, that I recommended that is I want to check some balances. You know what I mean? And Sam Preston is Mr. Hardaway's designee, does the hearings. What happens is, and we're in that transition role with Mr. Hardaway, that usually the response also goes back to the policy because it's so linked intricately to policy. I think it behooves us to have 2 people, I use behoove second time, do you know what I mean? To be able to have that check and balances rather than have the disciplinary officer out there without having to run anything by and do it duplicity. But Ernest did it because we just changed to Sam, gosh, it's been 8 years now.
Yeah.
And if we want to do Sam, we certainly could do that. I just think for now, we need to keep Mr. Hardaway in the picture as that officer, because it's also good to have a backup.
Yeah, yeah.
And the new one now allows you to go to tribunal, and the new one says you can actually, law says you can go to tribunal, and you can pick any of those, and you don't have to designate, you just have to train. So you could have a tribunal that, right, if I get this correctly,
Right.
you can have someone do a hearing by tribunal. There's no job description for them, it just says they have to be trained, and those are up to the 5 principals that can be part of tribunal.
Okay, what, if someone asks me, what is Mr. Hardaway's position currently? What would I say?
Yeah, he's still the executive director for support services.
Okay, so is that position gonna stay around, it's gonna be after this year?
Transition.
Okay, so his role as a hearing officer falls under that position by definition?
It's part of it, we included that, I have to go back and look specifically, but in all of our transitional positions, we kept those responsibilities. We're in a transition now, we're
Yes.
shifting over those responsibilities, mostly around policy, over to Dr. Myers.
So is Dr. Myers she's gonna become next year the district hearing officer?
That would be, if we continue on the stream, that would be correct.
Yes.
Or we go to a single, it really depends, but I would not want to put Dr. Myers, or even when Ernest was deputy, in that position, spending 40% of their time in actual hearings. I don't think that was a good use of time for a deputy superintendent or we totally move to a tribunal. If you do to a tribunal, then.
That can be very expensive, from when I saw
Well,
the figures.
it's very cumbersome, I mean, it's
Yes.
labor intensive, but.
I mean, I was amazed how much those people get paid.
We can certainly look at that, but I think right now in transition, it's very solid, it's very stable, that's what I think we ought to do this year.
Okay, any further questions pertaining to item 23? Any further questions?
Mr. President, I have
Go ahead.
one. Just for clarity, what is Mr. Preston's job title?
Yeah, he's hearing officer.
I mean, that's all he does.
That's right.
He's part-time. Is he part-time?
Okay, any further questions?
And I'll ask one more. You're
Sure.
talking about the new training and the new law. Who is conducting that training?
It's going through RISA and someone from the state is trained. There are several trainers that have this. I don't know if there's, we have to, problem is we got several RISAs, we have to go to another RISA in the middle because our local RISA went out of before we could go on that. Early August.
When you get trained, is the intent to train 5 additional?
We've talked about that. I'm not sure we're gonna get to 5, we might get to 3. Once this gets approved, then there's a whole training schedule over the next month and a half. They're not close by, so that's all we have to do. But we have the actual hearing officer, Sam and Ernest, because they've held that position. We can still hold hearings until December. We cannot put a tribunal together until those new tribunal members have actually been trained. So they created some space for those that are existing.
Existing hearing officers have a grace period until the end of the year, end of the calendar year.
Okay, so we have or have not made a decision about the tribunal system?
Our goal is to have, we've talked at this point to invite some people to be trained, that we could have one. It's not our intent at this point to go to a tribunal system, but you can do either. I've seen districts do both. But our really direction is to go with the hearing officer model at this point. But if we do have some individuals that want to be trained, that would be fine too.
I mean, Mike, am I right in where they have what a tribunal member would be paid? That's in the
They're not,
law?
actually, if I can say, we did tribunals when I was at Cobb, and they were in-house, and they're not paid.
Okay.
They're
You're
principals.
talking about in-house tribunal.
Yeah, they're
Because
principals.
we're talking hundreds of dollars a day.
Right, they're principals.
Okay.
When I was at Cobb, it was central office people that were
Okay.
trained that sat on a tribunal. 3 people heard the case. Even Cobb went to a single hearing officer because it wasn't the money, it's just hard to get 3 people you know, sitting there for a half a day or a whole day on a hearing when you have other job responsibilities. Do you know what I mean? So the hearing officer just has that, so therefore it doesn't take away from other.
Okay, any further questions? Hearing none, all in favor of item 23? Recommendation from the superintendent, okay? All righty, one opposed? Okay, one opposed, Mr. Davis.
Recommend approval of the personnel recommendations, job description, and addendum.
Okay, the recommendation from the superintendent on the personnel recommendation and job description.
I have a copy of that.
Well, it's in your packet.
No, it's right here on our desk.
Is that his place, Craig?
Well, you had an addendum.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, all right. Okay, the recommendation, I
You have
need,
it.
right, I need a motion on that,
So moved.
moved by Mr. Payne, got a second on that? Okay, second from Ms. Ellis, okay, all in favor of the superintendent's recommendation for personnel, please, okay? All right, Mr. Davis, you,
I'm abstaining.
okay, you have to read one extension there,
All right.
okay?
Recommend we go into executive session, and I'm gonna open to all three areas: the acquisition, disposal, leasing, or appraisal of real estate or other property, the employment, compensation, hiring, dismissal, or evaluation of employees, or pending or potential litigation claims or administrative proceedings, or the settlement of such litigation claims or administrative proceedings.
Okay, the recommendation to go into executive session, I need a motion on that. Got a motion from, Mr. Second from Ms. Ellis, all in favor? I got a unanimous vote on that, thank you very much.